Good evening and welcome to tonight's broadcast of News Watch. Thank you for joining us on the latest updates. My name is Tonyo Mondi and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Murithi. Now, a heated debate has rocked the floor of the Senate Assembly after senators moved to debate the third basis formula. As senators called for equitable share to all the 47 counties, others backed the formula that will see counties divided under the one man, one vote, one shilling mantra. During the debate, the Senate adopted Senator Mithika Linturi's amendment of 270 billion shillings to be shared equally among 47 counties and 46.5 billion shillings subjected to third basis revenue allocation formula. Senator James Orengo said funds have stayed with the national government and are being misused and looted. Orengo says the fight witnessed at the Senate today was unnecessary. This comes as for the 8th time now the Speaker at the Senate has failed to unlock the stalemate, and Speaker Kenneth Lusaka has adjourned the proceedings to Thursday this week. Dickens Luvanda reports.
The bell to be rung for three minutes.
Senators on Tuesday evening convened the 8th special sitting in an aim to pass the contentious revenue share bill after several failed attempts.
When you come here, tell me what is out of order.
Earlier on, majority of the senators voted to adopt Meru Senator Mithika Linturi's amendment to the CRA's proposed new revenue sharing formula, a move that saw them proceed to vote on the motion.
It is on this basis, Mr. Speaker, that I plead with the House that today let us rise to the occasion. Because, Mr. Speaker, the constitutional responsibility of determining this aspect of sharing revenue is on the senators.
In the amendments to Nairobi's Johnson Sakaja's proposal, Linturi proposed a reduction to the equal share from 316.5 billion shillings as proposed by Sakaja to 270 billion shillings.
And this debate is being fomented on the basis of either nationalism or countryism.
Sakaja had suggested that the entire 316.5 billion shillings allocated to the 47 counties in the current financial year be shared equally, but according to Linturi's proposal, other parameters of sharing revenue should apply to the difference of 46.5 billion shillings. In the Linturi proposal, 19 counties will lose 1.8 billion shillings, down from 17 billion shillings that is contained in the disputed formula that is proposed by the House Finance Committee.
I now put the question.
Losers in the Linturi proposal include Mandera County, which will lose 245.2 million shillings, Kwale County, which will lose 177.9 million shillings, Wajir County, which is likely to lose 175.6 million shillings, Marsabit County, which will lose 156.9 million shillings, Kilifi County, 153.4 million shillings, and Mombasa, which will lose 135.1 million shillings. Counties that will win big in the Linturi formula if it's passed are Kiambu with 160.2 million shillings, Nandi with 149.2 million shillings, Nakuru with 149 million shillings, Uasin Gishu with additional 142.5 million shillings, and Nairobi County, which will get 120.5 million shillings.
And one of the biggest mistakes we made, we allowed the national government to take all the functions in agriculture. A lot of the money we should be going to the counties in health are remaining at the national government. They are remaining here to be looted and be taken away. And now we are fighting over peanuts. We are fighting over peanuts. Madam Speaker, I am saying in conclusion that this motion is to be rejected. We go back to the original motion. I want to lose 130 million today, not tomorrow. It's not tomorrow. In Makueni County, Makueni County is saying, I want to lose 107 million today, not tomorrow. Murang'a County, they want to make Murang'a County to lose 15 million today, not tomorrow.
The Senate Business Committee on Tuesday also approved a motion by nominated Senator Petronila Were, which seeks to have the original formula developed by the Commission on Revenue Allocation CRA adapted as the third basis for sharing revenue among counties. However, Senator Were is proposing that the status quo remain and the CRA formula kick in when the equitable shareable revenue is raised to 348 billion shillings.
I have ordered that we reconvene on Thursday to look at the two amendments and to make a voting on the main
Dickens Vanda, Hope TV Newswatch.
Thank you, Dickens, for that report. Now, as Nairobi County continues to face deeper crisis, Beatrice Elachi has announced her resignation after a protracted war with members of the County Assembly. The Speaker, who made the announcement on Tuesday, cited threats to her life and that of her family as some of the reasons she stepped down. Elachi leaves the seat to Deputy Speaker John Kamangu, who is also the MCA for Ruai. Petrobo Juang has the report.
Ruai Ward MCA John Kamangu, who is also the County Assembly Deputy Speaker, has taken over as the new acting Nairobi County Assembly Speaker moments after Speaker Beatrice Elachi's resignation from the post.
For the last few days, we have seen lots of conflict and even life-threatening incidents. I humbly tender my resignation.
Elachi resigned on Tuesday morning, accusing Governor Mike Sonko of threatening her life and that of her family months after leadership wrangles rocked the assembly. Elachi returned to office in October last year after more than a year out, after she was impeached in September 2 years ago. But since her return, the Nairobi County Assembly has been embroiled in chaos, with another censure motion hanging over her head.
My resignation to His Excellency the President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, the President of the Republic of Kenya and the Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces.
Even as she leaves office, Elachi, who has been eyeing the Dagoretti North parliamentary seat, said she's ready to work with everyone to restore sanity at the Nairobi Assembly and called for the support of MCAs and other stakeholders to deliver on their mandate. Elachi's 3-year tenure at City Hall has been characterized by protracted legal battles following her falling out with the governor over key issues. In their latest push to oust the Speaker, members of the Nairobi County Assembly alleged that Elachi abused office and carried out illegal appointment of the new Assembly clerk, among other allegations they cited. The MCA's recent move to serve her with the notice of impeachment was met with opposition from security personnel who blocked them from entering her office. During the encounter, the Mlango Kubwa MCA, Patricia Mudheo, sustained injuries as the Speaker remained resolute that she was in office legally.
My name is John Kamangu Nyomo, the Deputy Speaker of the Nairobi County Assembly. Today is a shock in my life, because this is not what I was expecting from Madam Speaker. I was expecting something else, but now she has spoken herself.
Trouble Juang, Hope TV Newswatch.
Also, thank her very much.
Away from that, it's now a reprieve to churches after the Interfaith Council issued new directives in guiding phased reopening of churches and other places of worship across the country. Worshippers will now be allowed to worship for 1 hour 30 minutes as opposed to the initial 1 hour proposed by the government. The Interfaith Council chairperson, Bishop Anthony Muheria, also said congregation numbers will be determined by social distancing and available space for congregants. This means that larger places of worship will be allowed to accommodate more than 100 persons, provided they strictly observe social distancing. Our reporter Joseph Maingi has more.
Can you give a big show?
A month after the rollout of the pre-phased reopening of places of worship, the Interfaith Council on the National Response for Corona Pandemic is set to roll out the first phase from next week. According to the chairman of the Interfaith Council, Bishop Anthony Muheria, the slated first phase will begin next Tuesday.
Tutaanzilia hatua hiyo, phase hiyo ya kwanza tariki 18 mwezi huu wa Agosti mwaka huu, yani Jumanne ijao.
According to the council, there has been a compliance rate of over 90%, with the council saying that this is a good indicator of good leadership from the religious leaders.
Tunaona karibu asili 95 ambao asilimia tumefuatilia masharti kulingana na vile tuliwaomba miongozo ya Interfaith Guidelines. Baada ya kuangalia hayo, basi sisi katika kamati hii kuu ya Interfaith tumeamua ya kuwa tayari tuko kufuatilia hiyo miongozo, kufuatilia na hatua zile zimetolewa phase kuanzia phase ya kwanza, hatua ya kwanza katika kufungua rasmi mahala pa ibada.
The council chairperson has noted that the decision was based on the review of compliance across the country during the pre-fest launch that commenced on July 14th. Among the new set guidelines under the first phase include adjustments of numbers, which will now be determined by the social distance of the 1.5 meters and the size of space available in the places of worship. This means that larger places of worship will be allowed to accommodate more than 100 persons per service, while smaller spaces will retain the 100 persons limit. The time limit has also been extended to 90 minutes from the 1 hour, as the age limit has been revised to persons above the age of 6 to 65 years from the previous limit of 13 to 58 years.
Wale ambao watakuwa wakishiriki katika ibada ni wale ambao wanaweza toshea katika mahala kulingana na social spacing ya 1.5 meters. Ibada haitaweza kupitisha dakika 90. Sasa tumeweka hiyo kama limit, na baadaye wale ambao watashiriki ni wale wamepitisha miaka 6 na wako chini ya miaka 65.
The council has also said that you'll take care to follow the indications of wearing at all times, hand washing before and after the service, and keeping social distance to help in combating the spread of COVID-19 in places of worship.
A special appeal goes to the young people. You young people are full of life and you love being together. But for this same reason, you can be an easy avenue for this virus to reach, especially our elderly and sick. If you do not take precautions, please encourage one another to wear masks and to avoid greeting, hugging, or being together without masks and without social distancing.
Bishop Muheria has, however, expressed concern over disregard to the guidelines for funeral services, with less than 10% compliance with the guideline. In phase 1, the number of attendants at the funeral has been increased to 100 from the initial 15, provided the social distance is going to be enforced. Meanwhile, the council is now appealing to Kenyans to listen to the cries of those who are suffering from COVID-19 amidst the harsh economic times experienced in the country.
We urge all Kenyans, whatever your faith, to continue praying to God so that He can bring to an end this terrible scourge of the COVID-19 pandemic. Let us not tire in praying, but also let us place our utmost efforts to humanly combat this enemy. And finally, too, let us take care not to stigmatize those who have recovered from COVID, who are suffering from COVID, or those families who have suffered the fate of one of their loved ones succumbing to COVID.
Joseph Maingi for Hope TV Newswatch in Nairobi.
And to COVID-19 statistics now. The country has today reported 15 new COVID-19 deaths as coronavirus cases continue to soar. Health Chief Administrative Secretary Dr. Mercy Mwangangi said all the 47 counties have been affected by the virus, calling on county governments to scale up prevention measures and response systems. While celebrating the effectiveness of home-based care, Dr. Mwangangi noted that 372 patients have recovered from the virus and have been discharged over the last 24 hours. Mark Kimondo has the report.
The Ministry of Health has confirmed an engagement with Russia through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in seeking the newly developed COVID-19 vaccine. The government will, however, follow protocols through the Foreign Affairs Ministry in the move to access the vaccine. The Ministry of Health warned of an upsurge of COVID cases, particularly in Nairobi, which has been identified as the virus epicenter in the country. Managing the human remains of a person who succumbed to COVID-19 must be conducted in a very safe manner. The government is trying to invent more mechanisms that will be employed in burial ceremonies, this with the aim of reducing the chances of people contracting the virus. The country has today recorded 497 COVID-19 cases, bringing it to 27,425 the total number of COVID-19 cases since the first case was announced in March this year. The new positive cases were drawn from the 4,171 people whose samples were tested within the last 24 hours. 372 patients were announced to have recovered from the disease, bringing the total number of recoveries in the country to 13,867. Of the 372 recoveries, 315 were from the home-based program, while 57 were discharged from various health facilities. However, 15 more patients succumbed to the virus, raising COVID-19 fatalities in the country to 438. As per the latest statistics, over 20 million people have been infected worldwide and more than 700,000 deaths have been reported worldwide. Many people are very optimistic that the new discovered vaccine in Russia will change the narrative that has been there since early this year, with many countries expected to resume to normalcy if the vaccine works effectively. Mark Kimondo for Hope TV, Nairobi.
And with that report from Mark Kimondo, let's take a short commercial break on News Watch. We'll be back shortly with more.
Welcome to Rafiki Gardens along Kangondo Road by Optiven. This is an ideal and affordable piece of investment that is strategically placed within the Nairobi metropolis. Rafiki Gardens is close to key social amenities like schools, banks, and shopping malls. This project comes with ready title deeds, Maram roads, and a marking fence round the property. Get a plot at only 695,000 Kenya shillings cash price. You can also pay a 50% deposit and pay the rest in 6 months installments. Call us today on 0702 8310 83 or visit www.optiven.co.ke.
Welcome back to the broadcast. You're watching Hope TV News Watch. Now, Deputy President William Ruto says he is not afraid of the so-called deep state or system, which he says is determined to frustrate his presidential bid. Speaking at his current residence, where he hosted a delegation of community leaders from Kajiado South constituency, the DP said the outcome of the 2022 general election will not be determined by the so-called system, but will be determined by the voters. Ruto's remarks comes just days after Jubilee's David Murathe said Kenyans should prepare for Raila presidency come 2022.
Kama Uhuru Kenyatta angekuwa mtu muoga, hatungeunda hii serikali ya Jubilee, kwa sababu tulikuwa tunatishiwa mambo mingi. Choices have consequences. Nyinyi hamufai kwa sababu mko na kesi ya kule na ni kesi ya uongo. Ni vile tu tunaambiwa hata saa hii. Tunatishiwa ati iko system, ati iko deep state, ati iko watu watatuibia kura. Hata mkipiga kura namna gani, kuna watu wameketi mahali fulani wataamua. But I want to assure you, the same way threats and blackmail in 2012, when we were told you will not succeed because of the Hague, you will not succeed because choices have consequences. The international community have refused. The same way they did not succeed then, I want to tell you, they will not succeed now. Blackmail, threats, intimidation, they did not succeed in 2012 against Uhuru Kenyatta and myself. They will not succeed in 2022.
Meanwhile, the MP for Lurambi constituency, Titus Hamala, has disagreed with the endorsement of Raila Odinga as President Uhuru's ideal successor in 2022. The move by Jubilee's David Murathe and Kotu's Francis Atwoli has ignited fresh political debates in Western Kenya as the leaders allied to ANC came out to support ANC leader Musalia Mudavadi. The Western faction has also bashed Atwoli over his comments, saying the Western region is behind Mudavadi.
So kama watetezi ambao tumechaguliwa na watu, let us not shy off. Let us not be afraid. Mtu akisema kitu mbaya ambacho tunajua is unconstitutional, we speak as elected leaders. We should not just coil ourselves because power yetu kama mjumbe sio Nairobi. Power yangu haitoki kwa some masters in Nairobi. Power yangu iko ndani mwenu wananchi. Na mimi nisungumuze maneno yenu sio kuogopa some kingpin fulani amekaa mahali. Kwanza hawa kingpin wenye wanaongea wote, they don't vote here. Sasa nifuate hao ama nifuate the voters? Si nitafuata the voters ambao wanavota hapa. So
hapa tunataka kusema ile saa 4 yenye Atwoli alisema Raila atakuwa na celebrate State House. Nataka niambia Atwoli, hiyo saa 4 Raila atakuwa analia ameibiwa kura na Musalia ndiye anaenda kuwa State House. Ile yenye mrada alisema ati Raila ni Nelson Mandela, hiyo ni kinaya, kwa sababu a revolution is only once in a time. Hawezi fanya revolution 2017 revolution, ufanya revolution 2012 revolution, ukuje 2017 revolution. No way. History is linear, is not cyclic. Kwa hivyo tunasema kwamba sisi 2022 we have our own son, His Excellency Musalia Mudavadi.
5 members of the Kilifi County Assembly have dismissed calls for the formation of a coast-based political party. The ward representatives drawn from Malindi constituency pledged their loyalty to the Orange Democratic Movement Party, saying those fronting for the formation of a new political outfit were only serving their personal interests. They have dared Malindi MP Aisha Jumwa, Owen Bai of Kilifi North, and Michael Kingi of Magarini to resign from ODM and seek re-election on preferred party tickets. They spoke at Malindi Hotel on Monday.
Political Parties Act, labda wamesahau. Kama wamesahau wakasome. Inasema ya kwamba ina discourage regional parties. Kila chama lazima kiwe na representation in almost half of the counties. So ukisema unataka chama cha Pwani, unatushangaza. Hiki chama cha Pwani unatuambia ni chama ambacho wale ambao si wa Pwani watakuwa hawaruhusi kuingia.
Sasa kama wewe chama kimekusinya, ni kwa nini ukiambiwa utoke hutaki kutoka? Nataka tumwambie kwamba wajumbe wa Pwani kwamba hawa wananchi si wajinga tena. Wasifikirie kwamba wananchi wa Pwani ni wajinga kama wanavyofikiria wao. Wananchi wamekuwa werefu sana na njama yao ni kuwakusanya watu waende wakawauze. Tunajua hata siku ile wakitoa press conference walikuwa wametoka ofisini kwa mtu mkubwa sana hapa Kenya na bahasha zilikuwa zimo mifukoni mwao. Na hata speech walikuwa wameandikiwa katika ofisi hiyo, ndio wakaja wakaongea.
Sasa wao kama wanasema kwamba wao wana nia ya watu wa Pwani, kwa nini wasije wakatukalisha sisi tukajua ni kitu gani? Na kama wao wana haja ya kwamba Pwani iwe na chama chake, kwa nini waunde chama kipya? Na hapa tayari tuko na vyama vingi zaidi ya 7. Kwa nini wasichague chama kimoja hapo?
All right, let's take another short commercial break on Newswatch. When we come back, we'll be looking at what is happening in business. Keep it Hope TV.
Dunia ni mali ya Bwana na vyote vijazavyo.
Nguruwe ni mali ya Bwana au?
Ni mali ya Bwana.
Bata ni mali ya Bwana.
Ni mali.
Wewe kula basi. Acha mambo mengi.
Yesu ndiye njia.
Muislamu yoyote ambaye anamkataa Yesu, kwanza sisi tunamjua ni kafiri.
Bila huyu Yesu, mtu aendi kwa Baba.
Ungana na walimu wa neno wanapochambua masuala tata katika Biblia, wakiyalinganisha na vitabu vingine vya kidini.
Je, kuna ushahidi wowote Muhammad aliwahi na Qur'ani? Na hii Qur'ani muliitoa wapi? Halo?
Piga simu moja kwa moja na pia uchangie kupitia SMS na Facebook.
Itawezekana kitabu cha Biblia ambaye mnakiamini kuwa ni kitabu cha Mwenyezi Mungu ishindwe kumtabiri mtu ambaye ana wafuasi zaidi ya bilioni 100 duniani?
Je, Muhammad amekufa ama yuko hai?
Ungana nasi kila Jumamosi saa 2 hadi saa 4 ya usiku kwenye runinga uipendayo ya Hope TV.
Welcome back. 1.7 million slum dwellers are set to benefit from 16.2 billion shillings credit from the World Bank. According to World Bank Operations Manager and Acting Country Director for Kenya, Camille Lampert, the monies will be used to improve tenure security and access to basic services, including roads, drainage, water, sanitation, street lighting, and community facilities.
Unless the government is willing to also provide on-site infrastructure, then it becomes very difficult for a private developer to go into such.
Urban informal settlement residents who depend on daily earnings will benefit from 16.2 billion Kenya shillings meant to increase access to basic services. The project, developed under the second phase of the Kenya Informal Settlements improvement projects seeks to balance the outpaced services and infrastructure provision, including housing, sewerage, and availability of water, which has affected the socio-economic life of urban informal settlement residents.
Kwa sababu hata saa hii mtaa wa Kaloleni haina maji, ni maji tu ya kuuza kupitia watu wa mkokoteni, na hatuna maji mtaa kama hii. Sana sana watu wale wako chini wananunua maji kwa bei kali, kama shilingi 30, 20, ambapo mtu wa chini ule analipwa pesa kidogo aweza akaafodi.
With mobility within the informal settlements, one of the target of the funds, a likely partnership with the government in the development of affordable housing, sewerage lines will counter the immediate economic impact of COVID-19 by urgently linking vulnerable people of informal settlements to government programs.
Kenya has a very huge housing deficit, approximately 2 million units in terms of deficit, and grows annually by around 200,000 units. Having financiers coming on board to actually facilitate the resolving of this deficit is quite a good step. However, the government is not on its own able to take up, for example, these projects. So it has to partner with the private sector. And we've seen such projects, for example, the one in Ngara, bringing on board the private sector as well to help develop, for example, those units. So for us getting involved in the same, it's something that we would actually look into. The only issue that has been there when working with the government is the way they structure their public-private partnerships.
World Bank anticipated that upgrading roads will provide an important source of employment opportunities for unskilled, informal and vulnerable workers disproportionately affected by economic impact.
Wasiwasi kuu iko kwa watu wa juu, ufisadi, ministers, inaweza ikapotelea huko. Sasa hapo matumaini yetu hatujui kama itafika, lakini ikifika tuko na uhakika ya kwamba itatusaidia zaidi sana kwa biashara ndogo ndogo, maana tukipata support ni rahisi tuinuke.
The program focuses on building skills and creating opportunities for employment and self-employment to counter the immediate economic impact of COVID-19.
Meanwhile, the demand for residential homes has steadily increased despite the prevailing hard times occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic. Our reporter Grace Ongoy has analyzed the prevailing market conditions and prepared for us this report.
As COVID-19 continues to wreak havoc to the economy, certain areas which are major contributors to the economy have been adversely affected. At the onset of the pandemic, it emerged that some Kenyans would struggle to service their loans and mortgages due to loss of jobs and dipped economy. Following a decry from Kenya's President Uhuru Kenyatta called on banks to restructure payment of loans to their clients for up to 3 months to cushion borrowers from the effects of COVID-19. According to Saiton and Optiven, the good relations they have had with clients have made it possible to restructure and negotiate better terms of loan repayments during the current pandemic.
Once the pandemic hit the entire market, then we went on board just to see how can we then work with our clients just to ensure that they are also able to make their payments as they should, and also update them on the progress of the project. So we've had that communication every now and then, just telling them this is where the market is at, this is what we're doing to cushion you, or just to ensure that for example, your house, the construction of your house is still ongoing.
All our customers, they are customers who lost jobs, and they are saying that, George, wait for me for 2-3 months, maybe I'll get another job. And we are very, very patient. We have also given our customers a leeway whereby for 6 months, they are not paying any interest. So they only pay the capital of the investment, and for 6 months, then we start charging interest the 6th month. And that one has become very, very popular with the customers because Optiven, we have a listening ear.
According to reports released, the prices of houses have significantly been on the negative side in the second quarter of 2020. But as you can see behind me, construction in various residential areas is still ongoing as the demand for residential homes has gone up. Beatrice, responding to claims in the stagnation and reduction in prices in buying houses, says the reduction is due to the low demand that may be occasioned by the season, adding that however this is true, rental landlords are having a win.
developers, for example, they're looking to attract more people into the developments during such tough times. So some are then forced to probably lower the price of the units just to get more people on board. However, if you look at the rental prices, they increased slightly. And this is because during such tough times, people don't have lump sum to pay to buy a house. So most of them will go for the rental option. It's cheaper. Yeah, it's cheaper. Then the long term, you would say it's more expensive. But now what you can afford, you rather go with rent than pay for the unit. So then some landlords are taking advantage of that and increasing their prices because they know the demand is high. So in terms of rental yields, the yields actually increased slightly.
Land prices in Nairobi have continued to mildly soften in both suburban and satellite towns. According to House Consult Land Price Index, despite the COVID-19 pandemic, investors still view land as a resilient asset class over the long term.
In urban centers, if you look at the more data by the year 2050, they say globally 70% of global population, which is about 7 billion, by then it will be about 9.2 billion. They are going to live in the cities. That means any development within the cities, the prices can only go up, the demand can only go up, and that's why you find that Nairobi and Metropolis, the properties, instead of going down, the properties are going up.
At the same time, Optiven CEO George Washuri speaks on improvement in inquiries by potential clients who are now motivated to improve their lifestyle to accommodate the new normal of working from home.
So going forward, I think we shall see an increment in demand of residential real estate, yani houses. And then the house will also change, because before people used to say, George, I want 3-bedroom house. Now they are telling us, George, I want 3-bedroom house and a good space for an office.
For Cyton research analyst Beatrice Mwangi, an influx in inquiries on their side is probably due to clients having a bargaining power now more than they did before, as developers have eased their payment plans.
Because you see, if you look at the property prices, they're not going high as fast as they would on a normal basis. Actually, if we look at the residential sector, prices have stagnated or dropped slightly or increased very marginally. So then someone looking to invest, this is high time to invest. So we've had people who've come on board, new clients taking houses, because such times you'll take advantage of having the bargaining power. You know, there are not so many people looking to buy houses at this time. The uptake is slightly lower than usual. But then for those who are able to take up houses now, it's a good time for them. So we've also had, we've also noted that even with our developments.
Even as prevailing times continue to prove difficult for the average Kenyan to afford basic needs, the flip side is that investors will advise that this is actually the best time for one to invest in real estate due to discounted prices and stagnant prices. Reporting for TV News Watch in Ruaka in Kiambu County, my name is Grace Wangoi.
Philips has announced that it has received local emergency use authorizations to release its new Philips Respironics E30 ventilators in Kenya and assist in filling the critical hospital ventilation shortage. The Philips Respironics E30 ventilator has been verified and approved by the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, PPB. As of June 20th, the Health Ministry had announced that Kenya had only 189 ventilators countrywide to treat critical care COVID-19 patients. Designed for mass production by a team deeply experienced in respiratory care, Philips has upscaled production of the device since mid-April 2020, producing 15,000 units per week to free up intensive care and critical care beds.
Okay, so the difference between the Philips Respironics E30 ventilator and the fully fledged ventilators is that it was created as an innovation fit for purpose, simple to use. It doesn't have all the features that a fully fledged ICU ventilator has. However, the reason it was made in that manner is to be able to be specific for the management of COVID-19 patients. It also is very affordable in comparison to the fully fledged mechanical ventilator, and also it's simple to use in that it not only is it high quality following the standards of the development of a medical device, but it also has the ability to be used by non-critical care practitioners who are healthcare workers trained in its use, and therefore both for transport, for patients within the ward, for patients in the ICU, because it actually has the features of being both for invasive and non-invasive mechanical ventilation.
All right, that's all we had for you tonight. Thank you so much for keeping us company on Hope TV News Watch. I'll see you again tomorrow, same time. My name is Tonyo Mondi, and our sign language interpreter has been Boniface Murithi. Have a good night and God bless.